All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. This is your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
I'm back. I am just barely made it in from the United Supermarkets arena. Got to see the Lady Raiders in person again tonight. We'll talk about that later, but I'm riding that high. That's where I'm at, Spencer. Where are you?
I am looking forward to basketball right about
All
now.
right. Full court
uh,
press on basketball season, folks.
yeah, bye week in the football. Got two in the football season, got two games left. Not this weekend, but starting next versus Oklahoma State. We'll have a full preview for that, including Uh, we're going to be joined by Calvin of the CGA podcast, who covers Oklahoma State for the College Huddle, the Big 12 Huddle Network. Um, we had a great conversation with him. We will also be on their show. Both of those should be out normal time for us next Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. I believe they also release on Wednesday. Um, Spoiler alert: paper on paper, this says that like Texas Tech should win this game. I've been burned enough times this season under Joey McGuire and through my entire Texas Tech fandom to say, not so fast, my friend. Get my little Ticonderoga pencil. Um, so we'll see. We'll dive into that more fully then. But tonight we have Texas Tech soccer to talk about, getting ready to host Big, not Big 12,
Oh,
NCAA tournament
it's
match.
small. It's big. The small potatoes, man.
It's big time now. Um, I have some more thoughts on Colorado, Michael.
I have a feeling based off of your chosen header tonight for those of us watching live. I'm watching live. I always watch live.
And then basketball, which we may spend more time there. Let's start with soccer, as we typically do. We'll do football. We'll do the wrap, final, put that game to bed, and then we'll move on to basketball. So we heard this week or after the selection that Texas Tech is a 8 seed, that they will host the first round of the NCAA tournament here in the LBK after falling to Kansas in the Big 12 tournament 2-1. Who then Kansas went on to defeat TCU in the conference tournament finale 1-0. Um, Kansas is on a little bit of a heater, man. They finished the regular season 4-0-1. Obviously went perfect through the Big 12 tournament. Um, but that win streak stretches back 8 games, Michael. You found that they're on an 8-0 streak.
I know. I was trying to take a huff of copium and try to feel a little bit better about our Red Raiders losing to the number 6 seed in the Big 12 tournament. Obviously, finishing number 6 in the conference this season did the Kansas Jayhawks, but I I'm choosing to believe that they were playing close to home and that they were a hot team that was tough to beat, and just Tech wasn't able to get much by them at all. Defensively, they were all over the place, and obviously Kansas got 2 in, which that was all they needed. So Kansas is automatically in. They're in the tourney as well, and they received one of the 30 auto bids, and so that left 34 at-large selections, which, as you mentioned, the Red Raiders were fortunate to get. So this Friday, perfect timing for the bye week, hosting LSU, 7 p.m., ESPN Plus if you can't make it. LSU is number 51 overall in RPI. Texas Tech is number 41. LSU's record doesn't really indicate that. Someone smarter than me would have to explain how this is working, that they made the tournament at all with only 3 Southeastern Conference wins. But the SEC might be pretty strong with with soccer. So I understand that. But anyway, LSU coming in with a 9-8-3 overall record, 3-5-2 in conference, which puts them tied for 10th in the SEC, and they are 5-4-1 in away games, so pretty strong in away games, and that's exactly what this will be. This is no neutral site. This is very true away game. So LSU can travel and play some good soccer. So if you're around, try to make it to the Walker, 7 p.m. on Friday. The winner of this game, whoever it shall be, would face either the number one seed in this side of the bracket, which is Duke, and Duke is 14-2-1, and are hosting Howard, and Howard is 11-4-5. And I believe that game takes place 2 hours before the Tech game kicks off. So they'll know by the end of the game who they're playing if they so choose to look it up. If that even makes sense to do that, it's probably bad juju. I doubt they would know until the LSU Tech game goes final. But if Tech was able to move beyond LSU, they would play either Howard or Duke next week on the 22nd or 24th. So good soccer remaining. I think I'm really glad
Mm-hmm.
to see that they get another chance to finish out at home with a win. That BYU game was such a heartbreaker to lose with 37 seconds left, and on the last game for a lot of these seniors, or the last guaranteed game in front of a home crowd for all these seniors. So they get another shot at it in a very meaningful. I mean, about as meaningful as it can get, NCAA tournament game.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. No other tech sports on that night. I was getting the schedules confused with the basketball schedule from last week. It's like, don't the men play Friday night? No, they play Wednesday night this week. So you can hit both of those games without having to choose one or the other. Basketball tomorrow night, Wednesday night, soccer on Friday night. But excellent opportunity to see postseason soccer in Lubbock there at the John Walker Soccer Complex. 7 p.m. versus LSU. And let's check because we've had a little bit of a
Are you about to check the weather?
cooler weather. It's going to be a fantastic day.
I know. I thought it
72,
was.
high of 72. Uh, it'll be by the time kickoff comes, let's see, you'll be in the about 60 and falling, but not too quickly. I mean, it'll be chilly.
No,
Wear a
it'll
jacket.
it'll it'll be jacket weather, that's for sure. And
It'll
then,
be dark by then. So,
yeah, if you've got your little ones with you, they're going to find some game and some other group of little ones to play with. So you'll be holding their jacket because they won't be cold. But oh well, you should take yours.
yeah. But for even more coverage and previewing of all of this, definitely check out Seeing Scarlet. They do a fantastic job covering not only the soccer team, but the women's basketball team. Softball's also got their fall inter squad scrimmaging going on. They've had some, um, I believe you would just refer to them as like exhibition. They've played other teams here in the
Yes,
fall.
I believe
Um,
Garden City recently this week.
mhm. And they beat
Um,
them bad on Sundays, like
they
22-1.
Yeah, uh,
Sorry, Texas Tech
else
beat Garden City
yes, and LCU, and
a couple weeks ago. Hmm.
yeah. So yeah, they've been, like you said, they're obviously scrimmaging, but they're getting good some good games in against some unofficial teams on the schedule.
Yeah. All right. Let's transition, Michael, to football.
Okay.
Do you want to start with like talking about the game or talking about Colorado?
I feel like we should start with the game so that we
Okay.
can ease into the state of Colorado, the
All
entire
right.
state.
No, the program. It's not.
Oh,
I'm not.
okay.
I'm not. This isn't geography based. I don't hate on the state of Colorado.
Okay.
Um, we mentioned it post game, But Tahj Brooks breaks the record and does it on a 25-yard run. I mean, it was beautiful. Finally got some space after really the middle two quarters of just struggling to find any space. Breaks off 25 yards, hits the over, if you will. Finishes the day 31 carries, 137 yards, and a touchdown. That puts him at 235 carries, 1,184 yards, 5 yards per carry, 11 touchdowns for the season. But all time career numbers for Tahj Brooks now has him at 4,236 rushing yards wearing a Texas Tech uniform, putting him 17 yards in front of Byron Hanspard with 3 games to go. So we'll have a
Congratulations.
yeah. It was. I didn't even
Big
think about it.
congratulations.
No, for sure. Huge congratulations to Tahj Brooks. And I hate to even think like where this team would be without him. We are so very fortunate. He was encouraged, convinced, um, whatever, however you want to you phrase it, however that actually ended up happening, for him to come back and play one more season, um, for this to happen. It's awesome. I love it for him. I hate that it happened in the middle of such a contentious game that there wasn't even time to recognize it. Well, so there was. I don't I don't believe Sanders was following this closely enough or that he would care, but Colorado called a timeout immediately after this run. And I don't know if it's because they're like they had broken a big play and they maybe have found something, or they were in a formation or a package that they didn't want to get caught in if Texas Tech were to go hurry up. So they called a timeout there. I don't think it was because Tahj Brooks had just broken the record. Um, but apparently there was like a singular firework that was shot off at the stadium and a graphic that went up. Um, and then it was brought up in the post game press conference that I watched today. McGuire said he hated that we didn't even have a chance to celebrate that accomplishment. We didn't have a chance to celebrate the game. And he said Tahj Brooks doesn't care about the record tonight, but he will. And he's like, and it sucks that we couldn't do anything for him because we lost the game. I was like, yeah, man, it does suck because this is obviously this isn't Emmitt Smith where he breaks the record like twice because he got, he broke the all-time rushing record for the Cowboys or the NFL, whatever it was. It was the NFL. And like the very next play gets stuffed and actually loses enough yards to lose a record and picks it back like a couple plays later. Um, and he went and played another few years anyways. He's got this 7-yard lead on Hanspard. 17. I can do math. I promise. 17-yard. Like you're not losing 17 yards. Um, and you got 3 games to build on it. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that he did it. That he left his mark on it. And he's been so good for Texas Tech. I mean, DeAndre Washington was
Yes.
a last 1,000-yard rusher, and I think he got to like almost 1,200 yards in that his final season, 2015, 2016, and that was like unbelievable at the time. Brooks is at 1,200 yards now with 3 games to go. He was at like 1,600 yards last year. Like he's going to put up nearly 3,000 yards on these last 2 seasons, which is just like 30 years since you've seen a Texas Tech running back do something like that. So it's unbelievable.
Yeah, and selfishly, I'm very glad of the play that broke the record because that's the one that's going to be replayed a lot, and that's the one
Yeah,
that he will remember too.
I'm glad it wasn't like a 1-yard run.
So am I, unless it was for a touchdown. If it was a 1 yard run for a touchdown, or it was fourth and one, and he got two, something like that. Okay, but selfishly, I would have hated it for it to be, 2nd and 10, and he rushes, and now it's 3rd and 9. You're like, oh well.
The only
good, but oh
the
man.
the the downside of this though, Michael, is I think because it was such a longer run, like the broadcast team, like on the radio side, they weren't like ready for it.
Hmm.
So like when it happened, like John Harris is like, oh, well now he's got the record, and then Jensen's like, yep, he did it. He has the record now, and that was about it. Um, because like you're not really preparing yourself mentally. Like if he's 25 yards away from the record, you're not like, all right, here we go. You guys start counting down yards and have that like on a stat sheet next to you. Um, but the
Well,
only
especially
downside of
yeah.
breaking the record in that way.
Well, and who he did get some gashes there towards the end. We talked about that. Not the end, but the second half really. And
Hmm.
it that's I think those were one of the positives that we mentioned with Kitley's play calling for sure. It's just that he didn't just abandon the run entirely, and it paid off for him because of what he was able to get from there. But those were still unexpected, the way the O line was playing and the way those gaps were not opening up, and it, that front, that defensive front for Colorado was just stuffing everything. So it was still unexpected, but I'm glad they were still running the ball.
Yeah. Let's get to the rest of the post game comments. Obviously, it's like immediate, like instant reaction from McGuire. He's coming off of the field out of the locker room, having addressed the team. Says lots of things went wrong, and like it's impressive, like how much this man like
Yeah.
has on the tip of his tongue, top of his mind, whatever, coming out of there without like the stats in front of him. When he said we gave up 7 sacks, the turnovers that we had, the penalties. So we did not protect the quarterback. We couldn't run in the first half. Like those two things compounded each other. It affected our play calling that we couldn't run block because we were throwing more than we were probably wanting to, which let the defense tee off and rush and just continue to exploit weaknesses along the offensive line. Um, he said it was frustrating to lose 41-27. I think we all agree with that. He says it could have been closer. Yeah, I mean, obviously with the one of the final plays of the game being a turnover return for a touchdown, that gets you to that 14-point defeat. Yeah, I mean, it could have been closer. Um, his the way he addressed the penalties, I thought was admirable. He was sharp with his words, um, but composed. He didn't throw a chair. He didn't. He didn't do what the Utah AD did.
Oh, good lord.
Um, he said, "Someone tell me how that was roughing the passer." He said, and then to miss the face mask on Baron Morton, and 4 more missed masks on Tahj. He said 5. There were 5 face masks that they were going to turn in for review to the conference. Um, and then somebody asked him a follow up on the missed penalties. Like you may even find more, but he said what we're turning in right now. We have 5. Um, again, it just impressive that he has that top of mind because like I remember seeing missed calls and being frustrated about it feeling like there was a bunch. I couldn't have told you it was 5. And I'm not calling game. I'm not calling plays. I'm not worrying about anything else but watching the game. Um, he also said officiating has to be better on this level. I couldn't agree more. I don't know what you do about it because um, in your marks quote when he was, the public statement slash reprimand of Harlan at Utah, said there's a right way and a wrong way to do this, and unfortunately Harlan chose the wrong way. Maybe this is the right way. You have sharp words, you turn things in for review. The problem is there's no accountability, there's no transparency on the back end. What comes out of this review? Nothing. Is there going to be some like one? We will never hear anything as fans. McGuire will probably never hear anything even as a coach. Um, I would love for there to be some kind of transparency. Like, yeah, that crew. will not be in the Big 12 the rest of the season or next year or whatever the finding is. Um, or that that crew is going to be shuffled and you won't get the same combination of guys or whatever. I don't even know what they would do. Um, it would be refreshing to have some kind of follow up action out of that. Like what happens when you turn in things that are legitimately wrong and bad? Um, did it affect the final outcome of the game? In a way, but not necessarily. Like I'm not saying that Colorado won because of it, but it changed how the game went along for sure. Um, he also said when he actually asked, like in the moment, the official that called the roughing the passer against Chapman Lewis, like he asked for whatever. He said the official said he saw him hitting below his knee. He's like, that's
Mm.
just blatantly false
No, not true at
because
all.
without even the benefit of a replay or having um, film review on Sunday, he said he hit him in the waist. So, but McGuire said like he was able to point out like no, he hit him in the waist. Like it wasn't. He was also asked about the interaction he had with fans over the PA system, and he said, "Love the passion of our fans. Um, very gracious about the environment they created and how um, the team played and feeds off that kind of energy and atmosphere." But said we can't have things being thrown in the field. And I couldn't agree more. Like he said, tortillas are one thing. Anything else, it's unacceptable. He said people were handing him like that had been thrown water bottles, beer bottles, a vape pen at one point. He's like, I'm not even sure like what are we doing here? Um,
Well, especially if it's getting on the Texas Tech sideline.
he's like, yeah, why are we throwing it there?
Why are we? Don't let me don't let me say that. Well, if you're on the east side, throw what you want. That's not what I mean. Let's not read between the lines there. That is not at all what I meant. But it's especially stupid to throw it vape pens at your own damn players. I mean, let's get a hold of yourselves. Act like adults and don't throw crap on the field. It's really simple. It's a very easy thing to do.
Yeah,
Is not throw whatever is in your hand on the field and throw a tantrum like a baby.
yeah. We'll we will come back to the atmosphere around this game because that's what I want to touch on finally with Colorado as a whole. Um, but he points out like at this point in the season, we still have a chance, a great shot to be 6-3 in conference play. 8 total wins in the regular season, 9 with a bowl win. He's like, I don't know the last time that's happened at Texas Tech, and I actually brought this up with Calvin last night. I was like, it's probably 2009. It's probably been 15 years since Texas Tech has won 8 regular season games or 9 with a bowl game. You haven't won 6 conference games since at least 2009, if not 2008. Um, so you've got that still ahead of you. No, you're probably like you would need all kinds of weirdness to happen to get into the conference title game. And I think that's not even in the picture right now. Like they're not worried about that at this point. Um, he said right now our focus is to get into this bye week to recover, take a breath. We had so many injuries during this game, so many injuries going into this game that this second bye week was really necessary. The timing of it was necessary. So the first one, not so much. This one absolutely is. We need to get guys back.
Has Texas Tech ever had a 6-3 conference record? Because they
No, because at that point in 2008, 2009, we were playing 8 conference games.
right. So in 2009, that record was 5-3 in conference, which nothing
And
to sneeze at. But but yeah, I mean since it moved to the round robin format, no, Texas Tech has not gone six
yeah,
and three, and I don't know if they ever had 9 conference games prior to whenever that happened in 2011 or whenever it was.
I mean, for as long as they were in the Big 12 with the divisions, it was only 8 games.
Yep.
Um, you played, all of your division plus half of the other one. Um, so I mean, you've won more than 6 conference games. Obviously, 2008 you won 7, but you got a shot to get to 6 this year. It's going to take recovery this week and getting ready and getting healthy, ready to go on the road at a senior night game for the Cowboys, facing another former Texas Tech quarterback. It's Bowman, but still, like, we've seen former players go off against you. Um, all that kind of stuff. Specifically on the offense, McGuire said the offensive line has to be better. He said Clay McGuire came up to him afterward and said, "I lost you this game. Or I lost us this game." Um, we said we got our butts kicked up front all night. And he then referenced the two times that I'm blanking on his name was he wore 88 on the Colorado defensive line when he blew through the line
Whew, man.
2 plays in a row. Um, he made contact with Brooks and made him adjust his path, but didn't bring him down, but still disrupted it enough that um, where that may have been a hole, there was a defender in it, and immediately, with his hands on Brooks. Um, he said that they felt like we had boxes to run into. Like he said there were a lot of times when Colorado had 4 defensive linemen and a linebacker. He's like, 5-on-5, we got to go. Like, we like that look. We got to take it. And just, we weren't able to execute that. Said they also didn't ID some of their defensive fronts correctly. And so, like, we got into run calls that went into a bad box, or we didn't check out of a run. He was asked about what's leading the offense into a lull in the second and third quarters 2 weeks in a row, and it's not just been these 2 weeks. And he specifically said that we just couldn't maintain running in the ball. And then he, interesting enough, pivots and started talking about like how we were not defending the screen pass very well. Like, well, that doesn't really match up with why the offense disappeared. But unfortunately, I that
He's kind of
spells.
fixated on the defense a little bit, so that's
I
just
don't like it. Actually, I don't
yeah,
like how I was like I like DeRuiter.
yeah. Please,
Please don't fixate so
let's
much on
come
DeRuiter.
on, yeah.
And I'm not
Let's not
saying
set the
like,
groundwork that well, obviously, Tim, you got to go at the end. Please don't. I hope that's not what he's doing.
yeah,
I want to keep him. I know that a lot of people don't feel that way, but look at the last 2 seasons. Look at the fact that up until this year, when you've had a decimated secondary and not a world beater up front, uh, getting sacks every game, you still have a great linebacker group. But yeah, your scoring defense is really bad this year. But the last 2 years, it's the best it's been since Leach was here. So perspective.
yeah. Um, couple more things I wanted to touch on here. He mentioned defensively that Sanders was able to pick up a few big first downs with his feet because Texas Tech, the defense, didn't have great pocket integrity. Um, he also mentioned we had 3 sacks against him, but had quite a few more times with our hands on him. We weren't able to bring him down. Um, and then he was asked about Jacob Rodriguez. He had a huge game, now back-to-back games with, big numbers. I think he had 13 tackles this past weekend and something like 17 last week against Iowa State. Um, and he was just very effusive of his praise of Rodriguez. Like, it's very special considering he missed so much time last year. And then even that, on top of that, he was a quarterback when he got to Texas Tech. He was converted to linebacker, and he's done this since becoming a linebacker, which is incredible. And then special teams, he's asked a few times about the fake punt. God love Chuck Hines. He essentially repeated a question about the fake punt. I was like, did you walk in late? Were you not paying attention? Because he asked like why he had called that, and like McGuire kind of like do like a double take, like I just said that. Um, but essentially he's like our offense was not doing well, and we were looking for a spark. We needed something, and he said we liked the look that we were getting. Um, the biggest issue was alignment on the guys that were running routes. Essentially, they were too close together, and they ended up in the same spot. It's like that didn't help us. And I also said like they threw a flag for pass interference. I thought it was pass interference, but they picked it up. I've seen comments because I posted this on Twitter after the game with screenshots of saying you can't have pass interference on a fake punt. I could be led to believe that because I guess you allow some kind of I guess exception there that the defense is um you know they're set up to guard a punt and not a pass. Okay, sure, but it was holding. Um,
Yeah,
so
holding's one thing, whether
and
it's
that would have
pass
been a first down
interference or not.
anyways.
Yeah, I we talked about it on Saturday. I liked the call. I was fine with it, and if just I know it's ifs and buts, but if a couple things had gone a different way, like you said, there were two receivers in that area, and it was really hard for me to even tell who the QB, who I can't remember his name, was
Llewellyn.
trying to. Yeah, there we go. Who he was trying to throw to, and part of that is because I think one of his options was being held, but I liked it. I was fine with it then. I just felt like it wasn't executed exactly like it should have been, and hey, that's the chance you take with plays like that you never use in a game, but once a year.
Um, I don't want to like steal their conversation, but I was listening to the Gauchos, and I want to ask your opinion on this real quick. Um, Kyle asked the question: if you are down 14 points in the fourth quarter and you score a touchdown, what do you do?
Well, how much time is left?
He just said fourth quarter, but as I would, well, qualify it however you want to. Like if that changes your answer, then
It would change mine. I would. Are you talking onside kicking or something?
w- everything after the touchdown. Do you go for one? Do you go for two? Do you onside it?
Oh, I see. I see. Uh,
But specifically,
I would go for one. I would keep it for one, especially during that game with how hard it was to do anything. Um, but I don't think I would go onside unless it's within the last 5 minutes or so. I don't know the analytics there that would back me up. That's just a gut feeling. I didn't listen to their episode, so hopefully I'm not saying the same thing someone else did. But that's kind of where I would land. I don't say it would look desperate, but if you're on the road, I would I would more be more likely to go for the onside. But you're at home, and this defense has they didn't do so hot to necessarily, but they slowed down this offense quite a bit, and Colorado was getting conservative with their play calling. I think that's hindsight on my part too, but we talked about that last week. I think they punted for their last 5 possessions, so that's something to consider in that equation too. That hey, they may just punt and give you the ball back. You may have to go 98 yards, but I don't know if I'd try the onside just because it, it kind of feels like going for it on fourth down midfield with a fake punt and you don't get it and you just hand them great field position.
yeah. So I would have said if you're down by two scores there by 14 points, um, to kick the extra point and play defense, and then go for two on your second, assuming that you held the defense.
Yeah.
And Kyle said, backed up by analytics and data and everything, that that's actually the wrong move. And the way he described it, I was like, that makes sense. He was saying, um, in that scenario, in that, in the late stages of a game, fourth quarter, analytics say getting a 2 point conversion, a successful 2 point conversion is just about 50%. Now, kicking an extra point is like 99%. He said, for simplicity, we're going to say converting a 2 point is 50% and an extra point is 100. But he said, if you attempt a 2 point conversion on either one of those last two, your odds of winning go up to like 67%.
Hmm.
If you convert on the first one, you're down by two scores, you convert on the first one, you can If you were to hold them and score another touchdown, the extra point there wins you the game.
Sure.
If you miss the 2 point conversion on the first one, you can still go for the 2 point conversion and play for overtime. But if you kick the extra point on the first one, you're essentially playing for overtime because you wouldn't want to go like have the 1 point conversion, the PAT on the first touchdown and then go for two to win it and then lose it on not making the 2 point conversion.
So it's like everything else. It's better to
Be a little more aggressive
it's
a
better for
little earlier.
Alabama to lose in September than in December because nobody cares once then. So it's better to go for two with 5 minutes left and not get it than go for two with 27 seconds left and not get it.
Essentially. Now it ultimately in this game it didn't end up mattering. So like that was just hypothetical, but I was curious to hear what your thoughts were and um like that discussion. I was like, man, that like makes a lot of sense to me. Um because I know like when you're chasing a lead and like you're if you're being successful, you got some momentum, like being a little aggressive there can play into your hand, can definitely help you. Um But to go for 2 and essentially go for winning instead of playing for overtime, I was like, I like that because there's a playing for overtime feels like you're just, you're playing into we're going to settle for a 2 point conversion off, which if you're going to do that, you can go ahead and do that earlier. Anyways, um, let's talk about Colorado, Michael. Sanders. Fam- Family Sanders. Familia de Sanders. I'm assuming you've seen the video following the the Shiloh Sanders touchdown from the north end zone.
Oh, with the where the Texas Tech's equipment manager was trying to get the ball back.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I have seen
Your thoughts before I give you mine.
that. Kind of bush league, and someone pointed out that if any of our camera ops or creatives or anybody on the sideline actively shoved a an equipment manager for the opposing team, they would probably never get back on that bus. So I thought that was kind of interesting that was. I'm sure it's not even a. I'm sure it's a moot point over there. I mean, maybe Sanders, Dion addressed it or something with the kid running the camera, but I'd be a little bit surprised.
Do you know who was running the camera, Michael?
Who?
Deion Sanders Jr.
Oh, no, I did not know that. This is what I
So
get for watching like when I scroll through Twitter and I just the videos autoplay and I seldom turn on the volume. I seldom do anything. I had no idea.
I
I
I've
hadn't read an
spent
article
entirely
or anything. It was just an article. It was a video with no context.
I've given way too much time and effort of my attention to this.
This is your
Um
Zapruder film,
it was, and then I'd
frame by
heard
frame.
I'd seen some people mention like, hey, is that Bucky Sanders? Like, is he the one with the camera? Yeah. So first, like I'm gonna say like, okay, equipment manager probably shouldn't be swatting the ball out of an opposing player's hand.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna say
that
that
was a
like,
little aggressive.
um, I can understand like he's an employee for Texas Tech. He probably has some vested in like he's a fan on some level, like not just completely divided from the university or from the success or failures of the team. So in that moment, I can understand being right there, being a little heated. I get that. Um, the videos I saw, I don't know if there's any audio or whatever. It looked like he had attempted verbally to get the ball back,
Mm-hmm.
maybe once, and then like reached to go grab it from him, grab the ball from Shiloh, knocked out of his hands. Shiloh picked it up and then glared at him as he was walking away. Shador Sanders not even part of the play, was then right there, got in this equipment manager's face and was yelling at him. Um, Kudos to the equipment manager for like standing up to that and just square, not squared up like getting ready to fight, but didn't back down, didn't show any kind of intimidation. And then little camera boy, Deion Sanders Jr., inserts himself into the picture and shoves the equipment manager. So yeah, my title here tonight, Sanders sucks, um, applies to all four of those guys that were on the sideline. Deion Sanders, hold on. Let me find this. He's a little baby back screaming and crying and wailing the way he did. Oh, they're throwing water bottles. Yes, it sucks and it's stupid. Your guys are wearing body armor. They're carrying helmets. If you're that worried about it, tell them to put on a helmet. But also, it's a plastic water bottle.
Well,
Nut
and
up, dude. Sack up.
I am not excusing the students, or I'm sure there were a lot of non-students throwing stuff, but I don't think that Colorado sideline was doing anything at all to keep tensions at a dull roar. And I
They
think
were throwing it back.
well, and I think they were turning and interacting with the fans
Mm-hmm.
and talking some well-deserved trash, but also they were doing all of that while there was a Texas Tech player down on the field. So all of that happened all in the same instance.
Yep.
And yes, you can't do it. You can't do it. Texas Tech was really lucky they weren't flagged.
Sure.
The fans weren't flagged.
Mm-hmm.
The stadium, the section clearing got brought up again. Anyway, just but yeah, let's cool it a little bit on the dramatization of it.
Um, and then this interaction at the end of the game. Like, I don't want to like. I'm not insinuating that like it would have been pursued criminally, but like, okay, that ball is possession of Texas Tech. You can't just walk off with it. The person who is a steward over that equipment was asking for it back. You ignoring that and walking off is in essence like you're showing willingness to steal. I'm not saying they're going to steal it, but when the owner of the equipment asks for it back, requests it back after the play is over, it's not like you can't just keep something. You don't get to choose that. Um, just hand it over. Should the equipment manager have reached for it? Yeah, probably not. But then to be accosted by three more members of the Sanders family is absolute garbage. To then have it escalate to a physical altercation where the video shut off there because it was coming from a Colorado person. I think they were smart enough not to release the entire thing. I'd be curious to see what Video Boy's camera looks like, his video looked like, because he does all of their sideline social media stuff. Love to see his video, hear the audio, what he said to him, because lip reading, very clear that he was using some dirty words that at least I have the head of my shoulders to mine out. And then the other thing that like really got under my skin is like I just had to like stop even like looking at it was all the Colorado fans' interpretation of everything. They just they ate it up, man. They loved it. They love the persona of the Sanders family. And maybe it's because they've brought some relevance back to a historically decent program, but it's been absolute trash the past 20 years. Well, excuse me, 15 years. Um, so they're just like ignoring the negative PR image look of this with the additional eyeballs, like, but there's it's so good for the university. It's so good for the conference, blah, blah, blah. You know what? I wish Deion Sanders nothing but the best so he can get the hell out of the Big 12. Go back to being Florida State coach. Or sorry, go back to Florida. There's this article here. The title says, quote, the whole family is trash. I was like, oh man, are they quoting me? Because I tweeted that. No. Kind of funnily, it's from a Jim Hudson, Jim Knowles fan. The the avatar is of the Florida State Seminole. Um, the amount of people that just I don't know, that just caped up for everything that happened, especially around this, is ridiculous. Um, and then there was this other, I don't know who runs it. I don't know, like, if it's just entirely satirical, if they're just bad and they're just looking for clicks. There's a social media page I came across tonight, Buffs Nation or Colorado Nation. Let me go back on. Um, Buffalo's Nation shared a post from yesterday. Big 12 has issued a warning and fined Texas Tech head coach Joey McGuire $25,000 for misconduct after he shouted "F you" 3 times following a personal foul call in the game against Colorado involving Travis Hunter. Details below.
None of that happened.
None of that is true.
Yeah.
I went back and looked at the page. There were several other inflammatory posts against Texas Tech, against Joey McGuire. 100% false. But 1,000 comments on it just blasting Texas Tech for it. I was like, y'all are a bunch of idiots. The entire fan base. We had one neutral interaction in our preview episode last week. Granted, no Colorado fan has listened to this. I keep getting comments on the instant reaction from Colorado people, and I had some fun. My type of fun interacting with them. They're all freaking idiots. They're morons. One, you remember when I was talking about how well they defended the run, and I was like, I'm not saying they cheated. I'm not saying they
You
cheated,
said that like 7 times. Yeah.
but they defended the run so well. It's like they knew the play call.
Yeah.
Comment said they were cheating. Oh, what a joke! You guys are just clowns. That they were just playing so well. I was like, I don't know what else I have to say to you. I said it this many times, and I ended it with like, comprehension must be very low for you. And then somebody else had a very, very obviously pro Colorado comment, but they used the wrong version of your. They said YOU''RE when they meant YOUR. I replied back with the correct version of your, and that was it. That kind of inanity that I enjoyed.
Good for you.
Yeah, but no, that a handful of Colorado fans are on that post. There were a good number of Texas Tech fans as well, and yeah,
I
I'm just I'm
I
just I'm just glad that like we're done with this, and I would not be sad if Colorado was coached by a different person by the time we play them again.
I think we should give Colorado fans some grace because there's Colorado fans and there's Colorado air quote fans.
Dion fans, how about that?
Right.
Sanders
Folks
fans.
folks who have jumped on in the last 18 months and uh are just talking out of both sides of their mouths and probably we're rooting for the
Well,
Yankees in the World Series and
that's like
Alabama's got 2 losses, so they got to focus on something else. And Georgia just lost this week, so go Buffs. So I think we should give some grace to probably a lot of the vitriol you're seeing online. I I bet a lot of it's new blood Colorado air quote fans, and not a lot of the OGs who've been around in the 1 win, 2 win, 3 win years. Now some of them might be because I mean I think Texas Tech fans would similarly flood people's in boxes with everything when they have a successful season, but this isn't like a undefeated 9-0 season right now. It's a very good season. I'm not knocking it, and they did just beat Texas Tech at home handily, took care of business. So that's the team they are. They're better than Texas Tech right now. No one's
Yep.
saying that. No one's saying otherwise. It's been decided by the players. So I do just think that there could be some OG fans who suffered mixed in there who are just letting it out, having not been able to for so long. But man, I'm willing to bet a lot of it's just really brand new folks who I think, and one of the I think it's the Folsom Frenzy podcast. I think those guys went on with the Gauchos earlier this year, and I believe it was them that tweeted that uh, I think the only game time that was released for Week 13 was for Colorado, and it's on Fox. And I think because since they knew that, or Week 12, whatever it is, that meant every single Colorado game is nationally televised. So you're going to get a lot of people coming on board with that when your game's on Fox every week, pretty much. Good for them. Good for them, and good for the Colorado fans who survived those awful seasons. But if a lot of this is coming from people that just jumped on the wagon, whatever.
No, I will not be giving grace to them, Michael. I applaud you for doing that because that's like saying, there are some actual Texas Longhorn fans out there. They went to school there, they got their degree there, and then there's a bunch of them that didn't. And we should just give no. They're all trash, all of them. Colorado, like you hired them, so you have to accept this now. They all suck. They're all stupid. Have the reading comprehension, listening comprehension of a kindergartner. Um, so
I tried.
go. I mean, good luck. You're probably going to make it to the Big 12 conference game, title game. I would probably, if I was, you know, neutral picking, I would probably take Colorado over BYU. But what an interesting matchup that would be, Colorado versus BYU.
I would both love and hate that. I really wish Kansas State would get in there just so I could feel a little bit of love for the hateful eight. It would be kind of discouraging for two of the newcomers to to make the Big 12 championship. But oh well.
You want to get to our wrap up on so our predictions for the game? I had Colorado winning 41-34, not too far off. You were closer. Well, you were as far off. You just had Colorado 44, Texas Tech 31.
Yeah.
And obviously it was 41-27. So about a touchdown. Like we were without that last turnover, we had the margin just about correct. Well, your margin was closer. I was closer without the turnover. Chairman A from the neutral to I guess in context a positive interaction with a Colorado fan. 38-24 Colorado.
Absolutely.
Um. So
Yeah, and
there's that.
Chairman A was close too. So we all were in the ballpark there. Not that that makes it any more fun to talk about and relive.
Yeah, let's get to our Big 12 whip around, and actually let's look around our win total prediction tracker. All right, preseason Big 12 rankings. Like we're gonna go by Big 12 preseason rankings. Start at the top. Utah 9.5 total wins. We both took the under. They've already
Cha-ching.
got.
Do you have a cha-ching
Hold on.
thing?
No, I don't think so.
Dang it.
Do applause. Yeah, we were right. Kansas State 9.5. We both took the over. They have to win out to have that hit. They are 7-2 currently. For them, like obviously they're gonna have to win and go 10-2. Not out of the realm of possibility. They've got Iowa State. Iowa State could be falling off a cliff here.
Oh, please. Wouldn't that just be awful? Just be
Oklahoma
terrible.
State, 7.5. Michael and I both took the over. They are currently 3-7. Oof. The comment that you have in the sheet, and I couldn't
Bum,
agree
bum,
more.
bum, bum, bum.
Hold on. I'm messing around with the board again because the I had to reset the board. Our audio is not on it, so I'm like back in the sound pads of what's already built in. So Kansas 8.5 over. Sorry, 8.5 was the line. I took over. Michael took the under. They are at 6 losses. Michael cashes, so congrats to him. Arizona 8.5 was the line. We both took the under. They're at 3-6, so the under is going to cash. Congrats for us. Iowa State 7.5. I took the over. Michael took the under. They are at 7-2. If they lose out, the under hits. If they
Yes.
win one, obviously they'll hit the over.
Boo.
West Virginia 6.5. We both took the over. They are at 5-4. They need to go 2-1 over their final 3 for that to hit. They have to get to 7 wins, obviously, and they're going to lose on the 30th versus Texas Tech.
That's right.
So
That's the one.
UCF 7.5. I took the over. Michael took the under. They are at 4-6. So the under is going to cash. They need to win out to even make a bowl game. Texas Tech 7-5. Michael and I both took the under. They need to go 1-1.
I
They
mean,
need to split the last 2, but
we don't want
I don't want to be
them.
right here. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to be right here. Yeah. I was just saying if for some reason we're just tracking it just like anything else. But yeah, in August we picked the under on 7.5, and Tech would have to split the last 2 for that to happen.
Yep. TCU same 7.5. We both took the under 6-4. They need to split their last 2 for that to hit. Colorado 5.5. We both took the under, both wrong.
Ooh.
They are at 7-2 and looking dangerous. Baylor 5.5. I took the under. Michael took the over. They're at 5-4. With 3 games to go. If they win one, then that cashes for Michael and I miss out. BYU 4.5 was their preseason
That's crazy.
projection. We both took the over, and they are at obviously 9-0. Cincinnati 5.5. We both took the under. They right now are at 5-4. So they'd have to lose out for that to hit for us. Cincinnati, I already said it. Houston 4.5. We both took the under. They are at 4-5. They'd have to lose out for that to cash. And then Arizona State 4.5. We both took the under. And I was like, I don't know where they're going to win any games. They are at 7-2, including a loss to Texas Tech. So we were wrong there.
Yeah, probably the aside from, well, that and Colorado were our 2 most wrong predictions, but I think Arizona State's even more surprising than Colorado being 7-2.
Yeah, I mean, I remember like I was having a hard time finding a spot where they were going to win a game,
Oh, and I just yes,
and
I
Houston too. But
what were they 3-9 last year? I think
mm-hmm.
Arizona State was, so good on them. And getting to play them, I can see how this team could win some football games because they were a few rough bounces away from winning one here in Lubbock. I bet they look at those. Well, at least that loss. I can't remember who their other loss was to, but I'm sure that one they really want back. They would love to be 8-1. Sorry, Sun Devils.
Let's see. They lost obviously to Texas Tech. They've got Kansas State this weekend to BYU.
Ooh.
They lost to Cincinnati
Oh man, boy, I bet
about
they
a,
hate that.
about a month ago by 10. Yeah, and they finish out at Kansas State, home versus BYU, and then at Arizona. So that Kansas State game, I think, is going to be real close and
Yes.
competitive. We'll see against BYU. They should handle Arizona.
Yes.
All right. This weekend's games, look around the Big 12. Houston at Arizona Friday night, 9:15 kickoff on FS1. Arizona is a 1.5 favorite, which is interesting. Home favorite by that narrow of a margin against Houston. Preseason, they would have laughed at this line. Um, Give me Houston, man. I think they're surging a little bit right here.
Yeah, I think they're going to go. They're Fritz is figuring something out. They're going to go on the
Sure.
road. They'll take down Arizona. I'm with you.
Saturday, Utah at Colorado. Not only do they have the big noon kickoff, but they have the big noon game. They're in Boulder, 11 a.m. Colorado's a 10-point favorite. I don't see Utah winning this one. I didn't think Utah was going to be really all that competitive last week,
They
but
were.
an emotional loss there. I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see them recovering from it. I'd take Colorado to cover.
And because it's not money, I don't care about being
Nope.
wrong. Give me Utah.
Ah,
Baylor -2.5 at West Virginia, 3 p.m. ESPN2. It's probably because I don't know much about West Virginia at this point. Give me Baylor here.
give me the Neil Browns. Give me the Morgantown Mountaineers.
Arizona State at Kansas State. Kansas State's 8.5-point favorite, 6 p.m. ESPN2. That's a big line. Give me Arizona State to cover.
I'm with you there. I think Kansas State's pretty good, but they've got some really bad. They've got some ugly losses and some ugly close games. Yes, it's at home, but
They still have Matt Wells on staff.
Arizona State still has Scatterbo. So
Scatterbo.
I'm going to pick them to cover as well.
Cincinnati at Iowa State. Iowa State's an 8.5-point favorite at home, 7 p.m. Fox.
Give me Cincy. I'm not even going to let you get yours in. Cincy plus 8.5. That's delicious. I'll take it.
Iowa State did just have a big kind of crushing loss to Kansas, including a pick six that sealed it. I mean, they gave up like 40 something points to Kansas. Oof. I will agree. Cincinnati to cover. Kansas at BYU. BYU's a 3.5-point favorite. BYU
Yeah.
plus the points.
BYU minus 7.5. I'd probably take it.
Yeah. Games that are off: UCF, Oklahoma State, TCU, and Texas Tech. So basketball, Michael, let's do that real quick. You had game number 2 on Friday. I think we talked about this a little bit. You defeated
Yeah.
Northwestern State 86-65. Another game where you're without Elijah Hawkins or Christian Anderson. You don't have your guards, your lead guards. Don't know when they're expected back, when they'll be back. So you're playing a very thin 7-man rotation. You're still without EY as well. But you've got one game this week, and then you get you get a bunch next week. So you get one game tomorrow night, Wednesday the 13th against Wyoming. This is part of the agreement when we hired their head coach away from them. We added them to the schedule. Right now, Texas Tech is a 22.5-point favorite. Metrics has this game at like 81-67. Texas Tech is scoring 90 points per game, giving up 63. Wyoming is scoring 95, but giving up 76. Shooting splits are about the same for both teams. Texas Tech is shooting 54% from the field. Wyoming is 53, while giving up, 39.5 is Texas Tech. Wyoming is giving up 38. I haven't looked at their schedule or who they've played, but probably can't be worse than what Texas Tech has played so far. Texas Tech is a little bit better for a 3-point shooting team thanks to game 1, but 45% from 3 for Tech, 38.5 for Wyoming. But their 3-point defense is quite a bit better. Wyoming is allowing opponents to shoot only 25.5%, where Texas Tech is allowing teams to shoot 41%. Free throws, Texas Tech is sitting at 72%, Wyoming at 56. They're attempting 22 per game, whereas Texas Tech is attempting 19 and a half. And rebounds, Texas Tech is out rebounding teams 41 to 28, where Wyoming is out rebounding teams 45 and a half to 36 and a half. Turnovers, they are very good with the ball. Are the Cowboys 9.5 while turning over the opponents 13.5 times, where Texas Tech is even in turnovers, given versus forced. So Haslametric has this, like I said, 28 ranking for Texas Tech, 146 for Wyoming. Yeah, it's a better game, better non-conference game than what you had seen in games 1 and 2.
Well, I mean, game 2 is pretty close there for
No, I meant
a
like in
bit.
terms of like how close the teams are ranking wise,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
strength of
Yes.
schedule.
Yeah.
Because I think they were in the
I th-
300s.
I agree. I think you're right. Yeah, this will be a tougher opponent, top to bottom.
Yeah, and then you bounce back on what is it, Monday?
Yes, Monday.
Monday versus Arkansas Pine Bluff, one of the absolute worst teams, 362 out of 364. Haslametrics has this as a 33-point advantage for Texas Tech. They are Arkansas Pine Bluffs. The Golden Lions are scoring just about 78 points per game, but giving up 90. Uh, Shooting 45% from the field, but teams are shooting 47 against them. Only hitting 30% of their threes, 70% of their free throws, attempting just under 16 per game. They are being out rebounded 39 to 41, and then turning over the ball a ton, 16 per game, and only forcing just over 11.
Yeah, I think if you have to choose between Wednesday night and Monday night for your next men's basketball game, I would go Wednesday.
And if you only go to one and you want to ensure a win, yeah, go to Wednesday.
Yeah.
Sorry, no. If you
Well,
want to
hang
ensure a
on.
win, go Monday. If you want
Yes.
to see competitive, go Wednesday.
Yeah.
Um, and then the next games are going to be the Legends Classic Tournament in the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, Thursday and Friday of next week. Game 1, you'll be uh, playing St. Joseph's, 8 p.m. ESPN2. And then Friday the 22nd, you'll be playing Texas or Syracuse. All of that, well, sorry. Wednesday and Monday will be on ESPN Plus at 7 p.m. The Legends Classic Tournament, ESPN2, at least for game 1. Got anything else for basketball, Michael?
I do. I have a Lady Raider update.
Please, let's hear it.
I was there tonight, so to see Texas Tech get their third win. Just briefly, I wasn't able to watch the Houston Christian game on Thursday, but Texas Tech notched their second win at home bigly, winning 63-40. I think had a couple of players in double digits, but tonight it was kind of basketball by committee. New Mexico came rolling in. They're 1-1. The whole time I was watching, I thought maybe this is just a really good team that Tech's struggling with, but I don't know if that's the case. I just think it's a team that shot really well. I think it's a team that Tech had trouble defending. In the first half, New Mexico was shooting 56% from the field and 50% from the field in the second half. 3-pointers, they were 60%. They were 3 of 5 in the first half, but they dropped down kind of back to reality, 33% in the second half. But yeah, overall shooting 47% and 33% from three. It kind of came back down a little bit. But Texas Tech struggled big time, especially from three. 1 of 3 in the first half, 1 of 7 in the second half. I believe that was Shavers who made that one. Uh, 28% for the night from three, 40% for the night from the field. I think 8 of their first 10 points were free throws. It was kind of a tough game, and a game that New Mexico actually led at the end of the first quarter, and I think they were within one at halftime. But it just kind of like the first game, at some point, Jazz Shavers just decided to kind of take over a little bit. She was 7 of 19 on the night, 3 of 9 from three, but she had 18 points in her 28 minutes. Bailey Maupin had 10 points, but half of those were free throws. And Sanogo, uh, the 6'3" center and forward, she played 25 minutes tonight. She started. She was 4 of 9 from the field. I I've got high hopes for her, man. I mean, she can move. Um, she can put up good shots down low. She's just got to make them. They're so close. A lot of she was of those 4 for 9. I bet two or three of them could have just rolled a different way. So she ended up with, I mean, almost a double double. She had 10 points. She had 7 rebounds. She had 4 blocks, Spencer,
Hmm.
and they were nasty. she was she was doing some work down low. So really enjoyed getting to watch her play. Logan Johnson came in off the bench. She is a fire off the bench. She had 10 points tonight. So like I said, Shavers had 18, but then 10 points, 10 points, 8 points, 10 points, 8 points. It was a committee to get that 75 and to get that win tonight versus New Mexico. So 75-68. Really enjoying my season tickets. It's been a lot of fun. We're planning on going again Sunday or Saturday night, 6 o'clock. Texas Tech hosts Washington State, which should be a really good game. And then next week, Tuesday, right as we hit record, the home game versus Abilene Christian will be finishing up at 6 p.m. or it tips off at 6 p.m. And then they're on a bit of a, well, not a break, but then they don't play again until they play New Orleans at 2 p.m. on Saturday the 23rd. So I've been enjoying the season and learning these new players because there's quite a few, but I think there's I'm still not trying to get my hopes up too much because I feel like Texas Tech should have done a better job against New Mexico tonight and shouldn't have just have to do a better job defending their perimeter shooting. I mean, New Mexico had one scorer basically. They of their 65 or 68 points, 48 came from three scorers. Destiny Hooks had 28 points, and
Hmm.
only 5 of those were free throws. She was 11 of 18 from the field, only one 3-pointer. I mean, she was just a solid player that could get buckets whenever she wanted. And for some reason, towards the end of the game, they just kind of went away from her. And so Tech's probably a little bit lucky. So anyway, that was my quick update that I probably rambled for 10 minutes, but 3-0, and the men have a chance to be 3-0 tomorrow night versus Wyoming.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you. I have not been able to keep up with that with
Oh
everything
wow.
else going on, and you being in the building is awesome. I know you've shared the experience you've had taking your family and your
Yeah.
daughter, which is awesome.
Well, and we did GA tickets uh, for our season tickets, and that was really great because game one, kind of short notice, my wife's mom, my mother-in-law, wanted. She was like, "Hey, y'all are going to the Lady Raiders game tonight?" I'm like, yeah. She's like, "Well, I would like to go. Is there any way I can go?" And we were like, "Sure." So we got her like a $12 GA ticket, and we just all four sat together, and it was great. Had a great time.
Yeah, it's awesome. Um, I just had another quick update on baseball, just because we've been we've mentioned it a couple of times. Red and Black series wrapped up recently. Um, the black team took the series.
Oh man, season's over. Season's over, dude.
Wrap it up. No, they've got so many guys. They have 17 returners, which means they've got a bunch of newcomers. Um, Jamie Lynch was at most, if not all, of those scrimmages, those games. So you can read all about it on double T973.com. And I think they're starting a baseball podcast with Jamie and Choice. Um, I mean, I listened to a lot of that. I'm not going to go through roster and give you updates and who did what till we know more about the the roster, what you may expect. They're going to have to trim that down a little bit following this semester, anyways. Um, But you said Tim Tadlock was in the building tonight, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to touch on that because going to the Lady Raider games is it's pretty fun to kind of look around and see if you can spot people. Debbie McGuire, I'm fairly certain, was sitting right next to the Lady Raider bench, close to Coach Gerlich. And Kirby Hokut's been at both games we've been to this year. He's going around saying hi to people. But what struck me, and this is such a Tim Tadlock thing, I see a man walking on the court. I'm like, that kind of looks like Tim Tadlock, but I'm not sure. And he comes up into the pizza wedge area of the stadium from the court into the GA section, into the cheap seats with us normies. He gets about 3 or 4 rows up, and I'm like, that's Tim Tadlock, and he just sits there and watches pretty much an entire basketball game almost completely unbothered. He's wearing a nondescript, like zip up blue Adidas, not a hoodie, but it's the same kind of material and stuff. So he just that's just how he rolls, I guess. He just decides to come to a Lady Raider game, sit in GA, and not talk to anyone, and then leave. It was great. I think the only person who said anything to him was Superfan Eric.
Oh goodness.
He walked by and said hello, and then as he was leaving there towards the end of the game, he ran into somebody in the tunnel that that recognized him. But yeah, just oh, and Darian Williams was there. A lot of times you'll see the men's players floating around. I wasn't really looking for him this time. I just saw him go through the tunnel right at the end of the game.
Sorry, I was pulling up the Duke Kentucky basketball game. My wife obviously is a secondary Kentucky fan. They
What's that
were
like having meaningful, fun games in November?
well, I don't know. But I texted her when we first started that they were playing Duke and that they were down. Kentucky was down at half. I think 9 or 11. I can't remember. And then she just texted me a minute ago. Like, I forgot how long basketball seconds are. I was like, yeah. At the end of the game, um, they were shooting free throws with 5 seconds to go. Kentucky then hit a free throw, then missed a second one, rebounded. But the recovery took so long, they like ran off like 4.5 seconds before Duke could foul the Kentucky player that rebounded the ball.
Hmm.
So Kentucky's going to win this one. They are up 76-72 with 0.5 to go. Duke players on the bench shaking their head. Yeah, well, it happens. All right. I want to get to a question because it came up in the YouTube comments from the stream, and we didn't touch on it just with the flow of our football discussion. Roy asked, "Does anyone know what happened to Tharp?" Yeah, he went out with a head injury against Iowa State early on. It was I don't remember if it was a play where he was thrown to or if he was blocking, but he got blown up just past the line of scrimmage, and it looked like he was knocked out. Got up under his own power, and then walked off. But you haven't seen him since.
Well, he wasn't listed on the questionable or the out injury report for Colorado. Was that right?
Let me
I don't.
scroll back up and look.
I mean,
I
I
don't
don't
think
see it
so.
up there, but that's interesting if it was that cut and dried that he was, or maybe we just missed it. Maybe somehow we didn't have him on our list, but I think our list is complete, at least based off of
Yeah.
what was
Well, let me
given
just
to
say,
the people Monday before the Colorado game.
from the last time I saw it, he took a pretty hard shot uh, in the game against Iowa State
Man,
and did not come back in that game.
okay, that makes sense.
Um, all right, let's wrap up with what did we learn, and then get out of here, Michael. So, what did you learn?
I learned that Farming Simulator 25 came out today.
Oh my gosh, I have not been keeping up with that. Like you had Farming Simulator
25.
25 down here,
Yeah.
and like it didn't even cross my mind that that was the latest update.
So it came out today, and no spoilers, please. Actually, I'm just kidding.
Are you getting it?
I am, but I'm asking for it for Christmas. One, because the older I get, the harder I am to buy for, and I know this. And so I just thought I'm just going to ask for it for Christmas, Xbox gift card, whatever, however, whatever format they want to do it, Amazon gift card, I'll figure it out. But also because I just don't have time right now, and I'm hoping I will around the through the Christmas holidays, break from work, all that kind of stuff, to really sit down and enjoy that I can now harvest spinach and rice and raise goats and harvest grow peppers in a greenhouse. I can harvest green beans and peas now on top of everything else. It's going to be wonderful. So yeah, I might. Who knows, Spencer? I may need a hiatus from 23 personnel duties once once Christmas time rolls around, because I'll just be farming like crazy, dodging tornadoes, all sorts of stuff.
Am I seeing this right? That it's only out on Xbox S and PS5?
That is correct.
Well, screw you guys.
Well, I mean, you're playing on a 12-year-old console. What do you expect?
I expect some reverse
You
compatibility, Michael, is what I
you you
expect.
were you were holding back 22, so now we've got 25 all to ourselves.
Well, I
Yeah,
did get
yeah,
22, I think.
yeah. I don't know if you
Um,
did or not. I can't
but
remember.
I don't play it, man. I played a lot of 19. I know that.
Yeah, I think I should go back and look at the hours. Actually, I really don't want to, but I'm not sure which one I played more. It's probably pretty close.
The problem I have, I think, okay, I did get 22. I remember trying to find similar maps. Like I got it so early on, like I was having to wait for all of the updates and all of the new
Ah, yeah.
equipment packs to come out, and it was just like, especially early on, I was like, this is not fun to play
I
with like the basest of equipment.
I did the same thing with 22, because 19 I was a late adopter. I came in like a year later, and so a bunch of that stuff was there, and it was almost overwhelming. But now I know what to expect. So I'm kind of intentionally. I mean, I like the delay for that same reason, so that December, once I download it, there'll be some mod, or quite a few mods in the mod hub, and all these other things that I can check out there. And you know Mr. CLP will have a lot of YouTube videos I can check out to learn how to do with all this stuff. But anyway, very very excited about. I just felt like it it would not be on brand for me to just completely ignore the release date of Farming Simulator 25. So I'm acknowledging it. I know it's there, but I will probably not be playing until Christmas time.
Yeah, same. I don't have a next gen
Yeah,
platform, so
just go
that's why I'm
just
not
go out
playing.
there and get you a PS5 or whatever. No big deal, right?
You
Just
know, that's why I'm not playing college football 25 either. All right, well, that'll do it for us here on the 23 Personnel podcast. Get you a final wrap on the Colorado football game, a look ahead to the um, NCAA soccer tournament starting Friday in Lubbock, where Texas Tech is hosting LSU. Basketball tomorrow night, Wednesday night versus Wyoming, and then next Monday versus Arkansas Pine Bluff. We'll have our regular episode on Monday. No post game this weekend, as there is no game. We'll have a special guest join us, at least in the recording. Probably not during the stream. I'm not going to bog down the stream with trying to play a video that's 30 minutes long. But those that listen to the show will hear it, and I'll probably have it dropped in after the stream. You can go back and watch it later. Um, so be sure to check that out. But that'll do it for us this week. For Michael, I'm Spencer. We'll catch you guys next time. All right.